welcome to another Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele, and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Hey everybody, I am giving you a huge heads up, and that huge heads up is that the next handful of episodes are probably going to be relatively short. Not because I don't have any content, of course I do. I could pontificate for days on end. It is because I am ramping up to two of the busiest months of my year. From what it's looking like, February and March are both going to be extremely busy for yours truly. I have a ton of projects all coming to kind of culmination at the same time. And then in March, I've got 3 different conventions that I have to attend. So I'm going to be all over the place, and I've got a lot of people that I want to make sure that I get. I want to be as responsible as I can when it comes to my work. And while I love the channel, and I love all of you folks out there, because you are amazing, and we get into good conversations, and some of you help out with the things like the Venmo and the PayPal, and you help running the channel. All of these things are super important to me, but at the end of the day, the name of the channel is Tales from a Professional Nerd, and if I start bopping through deadlines and missing my responsibilities and failing at that, then this channel's not going to be for Tales from a Professional Nerd. It'll be Tales from an Unemployed Nerd. So I do need to make sure that I keep my focus on work stuff. Now, that being said, I don't want to abandon the channel, because it's fun and it's great, and we get to do cool, great, fun things, and tell you about cool stuff, and show you things, and all the wonderful stuff. So what it does mean is that I'm going to probably be picking for the next month or so. I'm probably picking a lot of topics that are shorter, not quite so pontificating about, unless something really gets me. Because I don't know if you know this, but recording, uploading, editing, getting everything squared away with YouTube and all of that, it takes time. It's time away from when I can be doing other projects, and because it does hog a ton of bandwidth on my computer sometimes, it's hard for me to when I'm doing some of the video editing stuff. It is hard for me to do other processes at the same time. So again, I'm not trying to make excuses. I just want to be open and honest with you that if you look for the next handful of episodes, if you go, man, that was really kind of fast. He seems like it was. You could have talked more about that. It's because I'm trying to make a shorter form content for the next month or so, because of all of the crazy busy stuff that I'm going to be doing. Now, the good news is that because of that, I'm far more likely to make sure that I don't miss any recordings, and then also I should be able to have interesting and fun topics, even if they are short-lived or short in duration. All that being said, hi everybody. I want to today's topic of the fabulous the tale that we're going to tell from the Professional Nerd today is I'm going to celebrate something that I finished hobby-wise, which we'll talk about that when we get to the Week in Bryan at the end of the episode. I wanted to show everybody just an old fan favorite. And explain why I acquired this, painted this, and will be using it, or someone will be using it at Adepticon for the Narrative Warzone Eternal event. So this gentleman right here is Baron Erwin Staller. He is a Bauhaus royalty that in the comics, the Golgotha comics, way back when, he gets a Dark Legion whisper in the ear, and he basically devotes himself over to Algaroth and the Dark Legion, turning him into kind of a traitor, backstabber, manipulator from within the Elector houses of Bauhaus, or the Elector counts of Bauhaus. And way back when, I absolutely loved this model. I loved the concept. One of the things that it can do So in the originals, in the story and in the game, you had this, the Marshall, the Marshall version, which is just a guy in a uniform. Now, what's funny is his stats in the old game. He actually had a light machine gun instead of this like modified MP50, or not MP50, MP105. But he in the stats he had a light machine gun, and we always used to make jokes that it was the largest or the smallest light machine gun of all time. But he would start as that, and then when he took a wound, you could take I think it was a power roll originally, and he would transform. He would explode outward into the carcass suit. The other version of the model that came. Oh my God! I almost just dropped him. I'd be so sad. The other version of the model. That he would then basically be this like super armored claw monster version that would run around in close combat. So you'd have this light machine gun version, and then you take a wound, and then you'd be like, ah, cool, you replace it with a carcass suit, rah, 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 and kill stuff. I loved him. I loved the idea of him. I loved the old school model. He was fantastic. So fast forward several, well over a decade, and I'm at the point where I start planning the 2026 Adepticon events. And one of the things that I wanted to do, while Eternal Champions is going to be awesome, it's going to be this big tournament. It's exhausting and amazing, and at the end we get this great hoorah of the champion. We've got people out there that don't want to play tournaments, but they still want to like have community and play the game. So what I figured is that we would do is the tournament would be Saturday night, and then Friday night would be a fun narrative get-together. And so what I did is I started cooking up a scenario, a narrative scenario, where we're able to use models that don't actually exist in the game, do actions that don't that aren't necessarily competitive but cool and fun, and just have an evening where a bunch of people will get together, play a fun thing of a fun overall event of Warzone Eternal, and be able to tell their friends about it and talk about it for years to come. This wonderful time that they played this new game in this different way, and they had a blast. So I started cooking up this idea, this narrative scenario, where I was like, I want to find something. I want to find something that makes it special, that makes it cool, something that makes it fantastic. And then our dear friend, an absolute indispensable asset to Warzone Eternal, would be Cormac. Cormac is an artist. He is extremely creative, but he's also a very talented 3D printer, sculptor kind of person, like 3D asset manipulator. And at PAX Unplugged, I think, last year, or I guess 2024, so right before, he had shown off this really cool, maybe it was Origins, I don't know, whatever. He had shown off this really cool powerhouse tank that he had done. And I immediately, as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, that's super cool. There's no way we would ever be able to get that on the table. And then I said, wait a minute, maybe there is a way I can get it on the table. And I started cooking up this narrative scenario specifically built around the idea that this giant tank would be almost kind of a terrain piece, but functioning as part of the scenario. We did a bunch of playtesting for some other stuff that's kind of vehicular asset terrain piece type things, and I came to the realization that it's absolutely doable. And so I wrote down the rules, figured out what I wanted to do, and it just kept growing. And the ideas kept coming together. And how do we do it? Do we make it's Bauhaus against the world, or do we do this? And we started massaging how it would come together. And at the end of the day, it turned into something that is going to require effectively a game master, like almost like a dungeon master for this Warzone game. And rather than having a bunch of random things happen, I was like, okay, what I'll do is we'll make a very unique scenario, a very specific thing, and we'll put a ton of people on the table. We'll make it a big thing that's lots of pictures. You know, people will be taking pictures, will be enjoying themselves, laughing, crazy stuff will happen. And what I ended up putting together is I wanted to do something with this tank. And one of the things that I had been wanting to do for a long time is I had been wanting to reacquire this model and paint him again. So, a dear friend of Warzone, a gentleman by the name of Kenyon, found an unpainted version of Staller in and out of Carcass Suit, and went ahead and sent it to me, and I got it painted, you know, got everything, reinforced all of its joints with green stuff, and now he is ready. And so here on the channel first, we're going to talk about this. The narrative scenario is Bryan Steele leading a group of corrupt Bauhaus and a pile of servants of darkness. If you're familiar with Warzone, you know that individual sides become one way or the other. So it's Stahler's Bauhaus and the servants of darkness versus a conglomeration of agents of light trying to stop Staller from getting that big tank up and running completely. It's partially functioning already. And the object is we're going to put 5 players per side. It's completely sold out already. However, I am going to say anybody who's coming to Adepticon that wants to at least like come and hang out and be part of the community, please do so. When we get the actual table assignments to where this event is going to be, I'm going to post it on all the socials because I just want it to be a fun way for everybody to get together, enjoy craziness, take lots of pictures, enjoy themselves, and kind of blow off some steam before the big tournament the next day, the following evening. So it's going to put 5 Agents of Light players versus 5 Servants of Darkness players on a very distinct and specifically set up board how I have got it laid out. You don't know what it is because I want people to be surprised when they get there. But rest assured, there is a big Bauhaus tank that is involved in some capacity. Staller is involved in some capacity, and one of the things that I wanted to make sure is because I don't have a good counter, like vehicle to vehicle kind of thing for the Agents of Light to make up for the fact that this scenario is about stopping the giant tank or stopping Staller from getting the giant tank operational. I didn't have a way to immediately balance that. And so I started cooking up the concept of basically special actions, kind of like how faction assets, specifically what sort of started the thought process is the capital faction asset of the offboard artillery, the airstrike. I started thinking about what else could we do that would be kind of like faction assets. And rather than having them like faction assets, I said, oh, wait a minute. Some things I can just give to the Agents of Light. This is your blanket rule for this scenario. Just like there will be some stuff that the Servants of Darkness will automatically have. But then, on top of that, there are going to be a finite number of alternate activation cards. And so instead of activating a model to do a specific thing and take its actions, you will be able to activate a model. You'll still need to activate a model for it to happen. You'll put an activation counter on a model, and some of the cards will actually say what kind of model it needs to be. And the card will have something special that you can do, ranging from maybe alternate movement, movement options, or perhaps strafing runs from the Capital Mako Shark Corps. Obviously the tank will have some activation type things. And so the whole point of this is to have everybody have these fun things that they can do, and also just to have stories to tell when this is all said and done. And I am very confident that it will be an interesting event, and I think it will end up. Being. I mean, depending on who signed up for it, because again, it's sold out, so I don't know who's all coming. But depending on who's there, as long as everybody goes into it knowing that it's just going to be a ton of fun, and to see. To see some of the semi-untested concepts that we are planning down the road, or just ideas that are like, you know what, this will never work in a regular game of Warzone Eternal, but it should totally work here. I want to do more of these. I want to do more of these narrative, kind of not just for fun, but like these big fun community building. Like the whole reason Alex and I brought this game back, that Alex reached out to me and was like, I want to bring my baby back, is because the love and the joy that he had found in this game, 30 years ago, that we want to find that in others. And while playing games and demoing games and just, and definitely tournament play, we find a lot of that. There's a lot of that, but there's also a lot of stress, and there's also occasionally you get people who are unhappy that they lost because they had a bad die roll or whatever. I wanted to build an event and hopefully set precedent to make more of these in the future, of things that players won't forget. I've played hundreds of tournaments for things like 40K and stuff across my gaming career, and with almost no exceptions, I can't really think of a particular moment in any of those that I was like, oh man, I remember that win. But I can absolutely close my eyes and completely remember the time at a Privateer Press Midnight Madness where I wore a giant dragon's head and stomped around a tournament as Lord Turok and was making people laugh, and we had just having a great time. I can smell the inside of that horrible stinky dragon mask. And that had nothing to do with the tournament. That was a moment. It was a fun, goofy thing, and that's what I'm hoping these narrative special events will do, is create Warzone memories, create for maybe this is the first time that someone has really played outside of their circle of friends, or maybe this is the first time someone's got their models on the table after the Kickstarter. Whatever that happens to be, if they leave Adepticon and someone goes, all right, what was your top 5 things? And they go, I had an entire squad of Martian Banshees get flattened by the Bauhaus Growler, or the Bauhaus tank's giant cannon. That's something they'll remember. Or maybe it's some different. Maybe it's I had my cartel agent plant a demo charge on a fuel silo and it totally smoked her. She died, but she scored us 3 victory points. That's what I want this scenario, this narrative thing to really kind of represent, is the fun and the stories we tell and the fun that we have about this game. And that's why I was like, you know what? We don't have our own miniature for him yet. But and the old one has not aged well. I mean, his head is weird shaped. But I wanted to kind of have something at this event that people will be talking about. People will come back after Adepticon and go to the Discord and go, "Oh my God, guys, this was so much fun." And if all goes well, hopefully to have those files available maybe for someone else to run a similar event, or get myself geared up for another big narrative event for next year's Adepticon. I think it's just there's too many cool things that can happen during a game that we often forget how much fun this is when you get completely sunk into that competitive mindset. And I could do an entire episode on competitive players versus fun players, and how sometimes I think the best players are the ones that can kind of sit kind of firmly in the middle. But this narrative event is a love letter to some of my favorite parts of the old versions of Warzone. Definitely a love letter to one of my favorite individual models in Warzone. And, who knows? Maybe it will break some ground on, because I won't lie. I've definitely, snuck in a couple of future rules into the activation cards, into Stoller himself. And this, not to be like, haha, you're playtesting for free. You're playtesting without knowing it. But these are things that let's paint a picture. Playing we're doing the thing, and whoever ends up playing as Stoller uses an ability that he the unique, seemingly unique to him, and everyone at the table goes, "Oh, that's cool! Oh man, that's rad!" I get to come away from that, not only getting to witness this great game, but I also get to know that special talent, or that special ability went over really well. That it spoke well to what we could do with it in the future. Combine also with just kind of the general concept of, can Warzone be played larger multiplayer? I mean, yeah, it's not going to be, it's not a set in stone, it's not a hard, fast, taking notes kind of playtest. But if it doesn't completely jack up the action economy, if it doesn't, come screeching to a halt, then we know that we've got a decent foundation to work from in the future. But again, I guess over everything, most importantly, I just want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. I know that the convention center where Adepticon is at, I don't believe that we can bring in food. Otherwise, I would probably try to order pizza or something for everybody. But I do just want to say, please, if you are a member of the Warzone community and you do not have anything going on at Adepticon Friday night, find out where the event is. Watch my social medias. Watch the Discord. Watch Facebook. Find out where that's going to happen, and swing on by. Be a part of the fun. Yes, it's only 10 players. It's 5. You have 5 players per side. But there is nothing that says that one of them can't be like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Watch my models while I run to the bathroom. Why don't you take this activation?" I want this to be just a big communal event, and building community is very big to me on multiple levels, and knowing that we're about ready, like literally 24 hours later, going to have the most important Warzone Eternal tournament in 2026 with a lot of those same people. I want everybody to go to that tournament smiling, hopefully leaving smiling as well. And I think the narrative event is going to be like the impetus toward that. I want the community to go into that tournament happy and ready to play each other, have a good time, enjoy themselves, crown an Eternal champion for 2026, and be ready to start practicing with for the following year. I can't express enough how much I want people to enjoy our games, not just play our games. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. But yes, so I don't want to give away too much, because part of the narrative of that scenario is going to be the surprises that are available for both sides to unleash upon their opponent. which is why I'm there, because I'm there to be the adjudicator of these surprises and activation cards. But until then, let's just say that good old Baron Staller here will be arriving and ready to do the Dark Souls bidding and perhaps get a big monster tank up and running and destroy the Agents of Light. But the Agents of Light will be fighting valiantly to stop him from fueling that big old beast up, and perhaps even manage to take out the Baron themselves. Dun dun dun. All right, so again, like I said, I don't want to sit there and just run my wheels on it. But let's go ahead and get into the closing, the week in Bryan, so we can tell you about how things are going, and then just wrap this smaller episode up, because I want to do a shorter format for the next few weeks, because I've got so much to do, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okay, so week in Bryan. Personal things are great. I am feeling good. My back hasn't hurt really bad for the last couple of days, so I should be able to get back to doing some weights at the gym instead of just cardio and stretching. Trying to get some muscle back on this frame. But yeah, so things are good. My son is running his D&D game again this weekend. The other day we had a long car trip, long for us, a decent car trip together, and we spent most of the time talking about a bunch of monsters he wants to use in his D&D game, and it was a cool exchange. It was fun because, again, I am unbelievably happy that he finds joy in gaming, and that he is I don't really like following in my footsteps, because that's not right. I don't want him to be a little mini me. I just want to always have something that we can talk about, and always something that we can enjoy together. I look forward to when he feels comfortable coming to a convention with me and playing games with me. I think that'd be great. Or just coming to a convention and playing games on his own, or with his girlfriend, or whatever. Hobby-wise, so showing, I finished painting my Staller, both versions. They're ready to rock and roll. I am almost completely done with the base of the charity piece for GaryCon, and then I just have to do the War Dukes that attach to it. That's going to probably be, obviously, because those are the actual character models that go on the base. I'm going to need to spend a lot more time on them, and really give them the love that they deserve. But yeah, it's coming along nicely, and I hope that it generates a good amount of money for charity when we sell it at GaryCon, when we auction it off. That's about all the hobby work I've done. I've been trying to do some printing for some minis for one of my role-playing game lines, but it's been. I think there's something wrong with the files. There's been some problems. There's been a lot of failures. I'm going to remount everything in my printer and see if I can't figure out what's going wrong, and if it's the file or my settings. But either way, that's part of my hobbying too, is trying to fix my printer, or fix the files to work on my printer. Gaming wise, so I had a great play test for Super Secret Project last night, and then earlier this week had an awesome D&D session where I play my Drow Noble House Champion. Had a great session. We had very little combat because we kind of accidentally puzzled our way through a combat, but we had some really good roleplay. And one of the things that I have been very want to be like, that I've been missing out of that game is we've been doing a whole lot of hurry up to the next thing. And so it was kind of nice to spend a little time talking and role playing and not inquisitive, not like doing an inquisition on an NPC, but having a conversation with an NPC that allowed us to kind of flex some of our characters' traits. It was good. It was a great session. And then, like I said, just a few days later, had a fruitful playtest session of Secret Project, trademark, which, again, I can't talk anything about what it is until the marketing material becomes a reality, and the companies involved tell me that it's cool to start talking about it. But I will. When I can, I will. Because it's big. It's going to be a big deal for me, for the companies involved, and hopefully for the fans that choose to enjoy it. So, yeesh. And then work stuff. All right. So I have a lot. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the reason why these videos are going to be short for a little while is because I am swamped. I am up to my eyeballs in trying to get words down for the Throne World Saga book for Intergalactic Heroes. I've got the Secret Project to be working on. I've got monsters to make for Dungeon in a Box. My Warzone work never actually ends. I still have, I did some editing on a Shadowrun short story. I still have the Shadowrun novel to finish. And then on top of all of these things, big announcement. I had a really good meeting last week with Andy Chambers, and we had a long discussion about the future of rules design, or the future of the rules development and stuff for Best Hobbies Xeogenesis. Now, you'll note I've worked with Xeogenesis before. I wrote their solo and campaign rules. And I've done a lot of the like playtesting and stuff for them as well. This is a more direct relationship with the rules. Andy and I talked at great length as to the direction that we want to take it, and I am going to be putting in some hours as a rules developer over at Best Hobby to create some amazing stuff for Xeogenesis. More on that in the future when we have more to talk about. But it was a great conversation, and one of the things I mentioned this in my social media last week, that it's weird. Andy Chambers and I worked tangentially together on Starship Troopers 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 18 years ago. But I grew up like as a minis gamer playing 40K, reading, seeing Andy's goofy face in White Dwarf, and playing the games that he helped create that really set a precedent for a lot of what I was doing. And I've been at this part of the industry, the creative side of things in the industry, for 25 years, almost 25 years. And there are still times where I get a little starstruck by the people that I get to work with and the people that I get to meet and talk to and be colleagues with, and in some cases consider friends. And it's always a kind of a thing, like the meeting is over, the Zoom window closes, and I get to sit there for a second and be like, I just got to become part of a team with one of the guys who created a game that I have played for 30 years. Like, what? Like the first time that Matt Forbeck and I went out and had drinks and sat around talking about his early beginnings, and talking about when we both worked for Conan at different times, and these are all things that I absolutely often take for granted. The amount of the sheer level of cool people that are in this industry, people that I look up to, people that I love working with, and it's always fun to add that little element of woo to a project, and being brought on to do some rules development for Xeogenesis, some core rules development, allows me to work with amazing people like Andy Chambers and Gav Thorpe, and I'm occasionally I'm thrown back by what I get to do. And that meeting, it was awesome. It was just a fun meeting. It was a good meeting. We made a lot of really cool. I took a bunch of really cool notes, and we have a lot of good progress in where things want to be headed. But also, it was cool to get to, when the business part of the meeting was done, just to talk about going to shows and how he's been doing, what else he's been working on, and just it was awesome. And so that is one of the things I did want to say about my work week is yes, I added some additional hours to my week. My studio hours are going to be extended a little bit until I check off a few of those boxes and not replace them. We'll try that. I mean, now that the Thundercats, the adventure that I need to write, the Thundercats stuff is basically done. Just until the next big thing pops up, it's always nice to know that I've got something steady and working well. But yeah, so a lot of work. That's why this episode is going to be short. Because I do have a lot to do every day, all day, and most of the weekends. I do hope to be able to thin that out a little bit, but when you have, when some of the opportunities pop up that, like, for instance, if the Thundercats would have popped up and I was too busy, I would have gone out of my way to find a way to make that work. I mean, hell, I did. Let's say, right now I'm crazy booked, but I'm going to close out on a couple of things here in the next 2-3 weeks. And when those are closed, I probably will not have room to reopen them until I get some more stuff knocked off. But in that time, if, let's say, somebody comes to me and goes, hey, so we would like to do an expansion book to do a Silverhawks source book for the Thundercats role-playing game now that they're officially a connected thing. Guess what? I'd find a way to make it happen. And I know that maybe that's my toxic trait, is I have a hard time saying no to jobs because I want to make all the things. I want to do all the stuff. And it is a problem. I don't have enough time to do all of the things all of the time. But I need to maintain my career and need to maintain my relationship with all these companies. At the same time, continue moving forward and doing good stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. In fact, that's what I'm going to go do now, is continue to make cool stuff. So please be safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, get your shots, don't lick doorknobs, all of the above. Basically, just try and leave every room a little happier than when you got there. And I think that we are going to be A-okay. Until next week, be safe, have fun, and play some games, because I'm gonna. Bye, guys.